my name is Jeff Howard.
I'm Mike Corder.
I'm Bob Matson, and we're going to do the semi-annual inspection on the Zoll M-Series defibrillator.
Hi, my name is Bob Matson.
I'm going to be doing the qualitative tests on the Zoll M-Series biphasic defibrillator. The first section we're going to cover is the chassis housing. So we will do a general look over, make sure there's no scratches on the screen, all the buttons are in place and set, no cracks on the outer exterior anywhere. Looks good. Okay, next thing we're going to check is our plug. Make sure our plug's not frayed, make sure it fits securely in. We're going to check the strain relief and it's secure. Okay, the next section is labeling. And as we can see, we want to make sure that they're all down in place and not fraying away from the machine. Looks like we're good. And there's a short operating guide that's mounted on the cord, which needs to be there for the user, just in case they need some instruction. I was brought to my attention that in all hospitals and VA medical centers across the United States, there's been a recall on specific types of plugs, and this plug is not falling under that, so we're good there. Okay, on the fittings and connectors that attach to the analyzer, that's going to give us our heart rhythm. I'm going to check the cord coming out of the defibrillator for any frays, any breaks, anything that could possibly give us a erroneous reading. We look good. One thing I know we always do, we always pull on the ends to make sure they're good and tight. We are good. Okay, this step we're going to check the batteries for condition. Got the light on, so we're going to plug it. Make sure it's off. Remove the battery, check the housing, check the connectors inside, make sure they're okay and they look good. Battery shows no signs of wear, cracks, and our test date is good. So we're good till August of this year. So we can install that. We'll plug it back in. Okay, this section of the preventive maintenance, I'm going to check the positive reflex of the buttons, make sure they rebound properly all the way across. Check all of them. Summary, mode marker, lead, size, alarm suspend, recorder, charge, analyze, and then check all the actual buttons. Go full travel on them. And then I'm going to turn the unit on. I've already got it hooked up to the analyzer. We're going to go ahead and get a trace, got a heartbeat coming across from the analyzer. And then we're going to record it. And as we do that, now we're going to go ahead and check our time. Time's good. Date is good. And I believe that takes care of the recorder. Okay, on the alarm section of the defibrillator, it's set at a heartbeat of 72. So we're going to have to set the low end up above 72 to get the alarm to go off. So we're set on 70 right now. So we're going to take it up to at least 75. Make it 75 and return, and we should get a warning and it's going to record, which it did. Working fine. Suspend the alarm. The next step is we're going to reset that back down to 30. Okay, now we're going to take the high side down over to 70. Return. There we go. Okay, we got a recording. Suspend the alarm. And we'll go back and reset it. Take it back up to 150. and then return, and that takes care of the alarms.
I'm Mike Corder, and my section of the preventive maintenance semi-annual inspection of the Zoll M-Series defibrillator is going to cover the internal discharge function, the energy output levels, and the synchronizer recorder function. Now we'll be checking the internal discharge of the Zoll defibrillator, and to do this, first we select defib, and we want to set the joules to the max energy setting, and then we want to charge it. We'll know it's going to be charged by the shock light will be illuminated. Now we have full shock. We should be able to push any button and the unit will internally just discharge all of its energy safely without damaging the machine, and we know it's discharged by the shock light going off. Now we'll be checking the energy output levels of the defibrillator. We'll be doing that by first of all having our pads hooked up to the defibrillator analyzer. We're going to have our select switch and defib, and we're going to check the energy levels at 50, 150, and 200. So first we adjust our energy select switch to 50. We charge it. When it reaches 50, it gives us the shock light. We discharge, and then we're going to check to make sure we have a plus or minus 15% reading on our analyzer, and we are reading 47.6 joules, so that's well within the 15% plus or minus. So now we'll move our energy level up to 150. We'll take our range switch up to high now because we're over 100 joules. We're going to charge. As soon as we reach 150, we'll discharge the shock. We'll check our reading. We have 140.8 joules. That's well within 15%. Now we'll adjust it up to the max setting, which would be 200 joules. We'll charge it. When we reach 200 joules, we'll shock. Check our reading of 201.5 joules, well within the plus or minus 15% range. So now we're going to check the synchronizer recorder function of the defibrillator. First, by selecting synchronizer on, we now see that the defibrillator is marking each R wave. This function is to check that it only discharges in sequence with the R wave. So we want to select 50 joules with our energy select, and we already select there. We're going to charge it, and then when we get a shock advise, we're going to push the shock, and it will not shock until it comes in contact or at the same time with the R wave. So our synchronizer's on, we're set to 50 joules, charge, push, and it discharged. Now to make sure that it discharged at the same time in sequence with an R wave, the recorder will spit out a wave, and we can see when it discharged, and we can see that it is in sequence with an R wave. So the synchronizer function and the recorder function is operating properly.
My name is Jeff Howard, and for my portion of the PM procedures for the Zoll M-Series defibrillator, I will be doing the ground leakage check, the chassis leakage check, lead leakage check, and the pace analyzer checks. Grounding resistance check should be less than 0.5 ohms. What we're checking here is from the ground point to here with a good connection. So we have 0.12 ohms. The next is the ground leakage check. That should be less than 300 microamps. So we have 118.1, 119 microamps. At this point we will do the lead isolation check, and from here we have all leads to ground at 0.1. We have the RA to LL, which is 0 leakage. LA, we have 2.4. and we have LA of 0.1. Now the total should be less than 20 microamps. So we are well in range there. Now we're doing the rate calibration procedures. We're going to use the safety analyzer for this. It should be 60 beats per minute, which we have this set at. We're in the ECG performance. And it should be plus or minus 5. So we are at 60, so we're good there. And now we're going to do it at 120. Now we are at right at 120, and again it's plus or minus 5. Checking the alarm, we are going to set the alarm high rate at 115. So we check that. So now we're going to set this at 120, and it should go off when it hits. There's one. For checking the low rate alarm, we are going to set this to 65, and we will change the simulator to 60. So when it hits 60, it should alarm. Doing the pace analyzer checks, we first have to take the ECG leads and hook them to the simulator. We have to set the defibrillator in pacer mode, and when we set this up here and be in the normal sinus rhythm, we should be reading about 72 beats per minute, which it is. Okay, our first step then is to set this to asystole. We're going to change the pacer output to 40 milliamps. And the pacer rate to 60 ppm. At this point, we're not seeing the pulse, we are only seeing the pace. As we set the pacer output to 50 milliamps, now we'll get the pacer pulse and the capture, pulse capture. So after that, our next step is to go back to the normal sinus rhythm. And we need to be 60 milliamps and 60 ppm. Okay, now we're only getting the pulse capture. Okay, now we need to bring the ppm to 80. Now we're getting the pacer and pulse capture. Now we're going to check the defibrillator analyzer. First we go back, well, we are still in normal sinus rhythm. We are going to go to defib. And we're going to charge, or analyze, I'm sorry. Okay, we're going to analyze the ECG form, and it will tell us whether a shock is advised. At this point, with the settings there, is no shock advised. Now, we will go to asystole, basically a flat line. We're still defib. Now we're going to analyze. And again, no shock advised. We are on a flat line there. Now we're going to set this to ventricle fibrillation. And we'll analyze again. And this is saying a shock is advised, so we will. Now this will tell you the defib has just charged and the light was on. Okay, next we need to charge this to 200 joules, and we will charge it and test it again. Now you'll see the light come on, showing that it was discharged for 200 joules. it.